The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are solely those of the individuals involved and do not necessarily represent those of 50+1 or its host. The content provided is for informational purposes only. Any views or opinions expressed are not intended to malign any religion, ethnic group, club, organization, company, or individual. All content is provided in good faith and is intended to be thought-provoking and informative.
Welcome to the show. Thank you so much, Igor and Ranjit, for taking time to do this. I know it's been a pretty hectic few days right now. I attended the press conference that you gave, Igor, yesterday. So before starting, I want to know how are you in terms of health, because you mentioned you put 2 stents just before the Asian Cup. So first of all, I want to ask that.
Oh, I'm feeling much better now. You know, when you go through such difficulties, then you need to be careful, obviously, with the stress and undergoing process. But everything is fine now. Feel pretty well. Thank you very much for asking.
Now, getting back to business, Igor, you spoke a lot in the press conference, right? So I just wanted to ask some questions based off on that. When and how did you find about the parting of ways with the All India Football Federation?
I found out through the email received by AIFF, which happened only a couple of hours after I had a phone call from Satya, where he asked me what do I suggest and what do I think about situation and how I feel about it and all that. I told him, you know, give me a few days to think about everything. You know that we're going to separate our ways, and it should be done in a decent way, because we spent 5 years together working with all honesty and the pride and giving my best there. So give me just a few days so I can have a rest, think about everything, and then I will let you know. But definitely you can start looking for a new coach. I'm in the process of negotiating new terms with another parties, and there will no be need for AIFF to suffer any payments. So
in fact,
paying me any salaries, you know.
I like to come in there, Sandeep, because I like to tell you how I can confirm that. So it was just by chance I was having a talk with Satya on that very particular day, and this was around 4:35 in the afternoon, evening, and I asked him how's everything going. We just generally, I was talking about the futsal championship finally, which was happening. So I said, how's everything going with Igor? Everything sorted out? He says, yes, I've just got off the call with Igor, and everything is fine, because he's very willing to come to terms with us, and he also doesn't want to be here. He also wants to leave. So he says it will take me 3 to 4 weeks to be able to find a new job, and I'll be able to leave on very amicable terms with both a mutual termination. And that's why after 3 hours, I was shocked as much as the whole world, because this happened and he talked to me about this. So I thought everything was hunky-dory. So sorry, go on.
Yes, exactly. That's what happened. You know, as much as it was a shock to you, Ranjit, it was a shock to me. I couldn't believe that something such stupid could happen. It was obvious that Satya is not decision maker there. He was talking to me, discussing everything, and I told him. He asked me also, you know, would you, coach, accept 3 months salary payment as a compensation for you leaving as a mutual agreement? I said to him, Satya, no, I wouldn't like to do that. If you ask me to do that, and if you ask me to do that immediately, then I will request you for another responsible person to leave also with me, which is the president of the Football Federation, who lied so much to me, who never took proper care of the Football Federation or anyone there. He was just thinking about himself, being so selfish and not caring about very important things for the country. So I said, be patient. There is no rush. You know, there is no games ahead of us. There is nothing to rush about or be worried about, because the most important thing now is to do everything in a decent way for everyone. So let's be patient. Then he said to me, we just have this pressure from social media and this and that. I said, but Football House shouldn't be run based on social media and the thoughts which are coming through social media. You know, that's not the way to handle the things. And that's how we finished our conversation. The final thing which I told him, be patient, couple of weeks, I will finish negotiating with one of the parties. I'm in the communication at the moment, and there will not be need to pay any salary after that. Might be only June salary, and that's it. And that was how we finished. And then, without approaching me again or anything like that, I just received the termination letter from the contract, which is now obviously a huge problem for AIFF. And that's another thing which is telling you that these guys are not even capable of reading 3-page contract which was signed before sending the termination letter. Because if they did that, if they did as it should be done, giving the thing to the lawyer who will give them advice how to proceed, they would never do that, because that mistake will be very costly to AIFF now, But anyway, now when I see the situation, it's much better that they pay me instead of them wasting the money in a way they did last couple of years, because that money doesn't go to the football parties involved in the process in India. That money goes anywhere else, but not to the purpose which should be spent on. At least I will have the chance to help certain cities and academies there when I get that money.
Igor, does that mean when you get the money, you're going to reinvest into Indian football?
Definitely, big part of that money will be paid back to those guys who live their life with football in India, someone else there, which I made the friendships, which I know, and I'm sure of that they are decent football people who are giving their life to football and the football development in the country.
Okay. Getting into some pointed matters here. In the press conference, you mentioned that you offered to leave my position if others ready to take the responsibility will do the same. Who are the others? Would it be possible for you to elaborate on that?
The highest chairs, definitely decision makers. So starting with the Kalyan, and those who were there in a position to organize and help the national team, whose main responsibility was, apart from running sincerely football house, the second most important thing for them was to occupy high chairs in the higher instances of football organizations in Asia and the world, which I mean AFC and FIFA. These are the positions where India needs to take places to protect its national teams from things which are happening, especially in Asian football, because you all know that the refereeing in Asian football is catastrophe, that referees' decisions are influencing destinies in a wrong way from many people who are working in a decent and honest way.
Okay. Igor, apart from Kalyan, who are responsible for looking after the national team? Because he's the president at the end of the day.
I mean, Kalyan and Haris are running the show. That's one thing which is quite sure and certain there. And they were the ones making decisions, obviously running the football house, not following the strict procedures and rules there, which should go through executive committee and technical committee. It's something which is very wrong, because these people enter the football house on a white horses, talking a lot about transparency, about corruption, which somehow happened prior to them entering the football house. And then first day they started having wrongdoings, which is now obvious. We now have a football house which is in a mess for the last couple of years, which is going through procedures. Another court decisions are awaiting us. We've been there under the process of administrators running the house. We've been in the process of pandemic stopping us to work, and all these difficulties which were making our job unbelievably hard. And no one had any patience and understanding how difficult it was for everyone there to work. No one is saying about how much negativity which was surrounding the AIFF, which was caused by them, which was published every day, nearly every day, by them having wrongdoings, how much that influenced the situation and the environment in the dressing room also. It's affecting the work. Anyhow, whatever they do, it's affecting the work of the people who are working on the pitch. So we felt alone, I need to tell you. As a national team coach and the players, You need to feel loved. You need to feel surrounded with the passion. You need to be surrounded with the care. But no one cared about us, apart from trying to arrange the flights and the camp venues. Nothing else was there. No one was even coming to join us to see what we do, to see how we work, how much energy we spent in the camps, how much dedication is there.
Igor, even that was not done properly, because I have just come to know. I am the biggest critic of FSDL as well. Not only
Ranjit, I need to tell you.
I'm going to come to that. I'm going to come to that, because I've just come to know that FSDL had actually gone out of its way to help the Indian team, give them the window for the Asian Cup like you had asked for. Everything was prepared, but because of political compulsions, somebody just without asking you or the national team fixed up the Merdeka Cup, fixed up the King's Cup, which you did not want to participate. In fact, it was the worst thing to do to the team before going for the Asian Cup. And because of that, we didn't have practice time before the camp. And in fact, even when we reached that place, it was a 30-hour flight. We didn't have any rest. And people don't understand. So let me tell you, I'm a mountaineer. I have been up to 7,800 meters. Whenever I go above 2,000, 3,000 meters, we acclimatize. It takes 2 days for the body to acclimatize to that, because you carry red blood cells to carry oxygen to all parts of your body. If you give your body a chance, you get more red blood cells. But basically what you have done to the Indian team when they played Afghanistan is told them, don't breathe and then play. And then you're saying, oh my God, they're not looking good. Because you do, as an organization, you're supposed to give the biggest advantage to your team. And what you do is give the biggest advantage to your opponents. They were there for 1 month playing practice matches on that pitch, getting used to the acclimatization of that altitude. And by the way, let me give you an example of how important altitude is. Everyone knows Bolivia and La Paz. The worst track record of Argentina and Brazil in any away matches has been in La Paz and Bolivia, because they are at 10,000 feet or 3,500 meters.
Exactly. Okay, you reminded me of something now. I'll take you back maybe year and a half. When I said I don't want to play any more away matches with the national team. You will remember that. And what was the reason to say that? Because we were so much pushed into wrong travel arrangements when we played away games. We never had a normal travel sorted for one professional football team. Going anywhere to play, we were either coming late, we were either flights which are not for the professional sport teams, and then we were facing referees who were strongly against us wherever we played. And then after insisting so much on that, we got those several tournaments at home.
I'll tell you
11,
Igor,
11 games.
You and Sunil Chetri, and you and Sandesh Jingan and Gurpreet Singh Sandhu. I remember when I was in the COA, you guys came on and told us that they get a TAD of 700 rupees a day, and we are made to wait for flights for 30 hours in the airport. Sometimes we take four connecting flights just because they don't want to book properly. And that is why when we had the COA, we made sure of that. So see, why I'm interrupting again and again is because I want to confirm all these things. All these things he's saying is 100% true, because I was there.
I'll tell you just recent thing which happened. When we were in Aba City playing Afghanistan, okay, the way we traveled, okay, we came there, at least we came there 3-4 days prior to the game, so we can somehow adapt to the high altitude climate. At the match day, just several hours prior to the game, where normally coach should focus and concentrate on the things which are to happen on the pitch and all things, I need to communicate about the travel arrangements and the flights after the game, because we still at that time on the match day don't have flights sorted to go back to Guwahati. Do you understand what I'm saying? On the match day, I'm receiving options for the flights, how we're gonna fly next day, of being offered 2 groups of players flying back to reach Guwahati in the next 2 days, this way, that way. That's how AIFF is functioning at the moment. So that's why I'm telling you, nothing has been improved. Everything went from average to very bad. From average to very bad. You know, at least before Kalyan, I had Abhishek Yadav as a technical director, a guy who was national team player. And I'm not getting into what someone thinks about Abhishek. He was with me there on a daily basis. He was sorting things out. He was discussing with me everything about football, about national team needs. He was committed to the job, and he was giving himself to the success of the national team and underage groups. And he was doing his job properly. That's how it should work, because it's not coach's job on the match day to think about travel arrangements and to discuss things which should be normally organized like anywhere in the world. Is it acceptable to us that after the game against Afghanistan in Aba City, Afghanistan team travels to Guwahati, sleeps all night in Bengaluru, I think, before getting connection flight to reach Guwahati, and that our teams spends all night at the airport waiting connection flight to reach Guwahati after Afghanistan team. That's telling you how poor organization we are and in what state we were living on. And whenever I spoke, this is also important because I don't care about public opinion because I'm not a populist. I say what I think. You can hate me or like me, you know. But then, and Sandeep, you will know, there was a strong force from the very first day of my work, social media force, which was using each second an opportunity to blame me, to push me on the side and point fingers at me. And it starts anywhere or anytime when we have an average performance or bad performance, they go at me, you know. So these forces were there present and they were waiting each opportunity to blame the coach, the team, while the team was rising up. For 5 years, we were rising up. And when we came so close, when we entered the top 100 once again, after having 3 brilliant tournaments, after proving whatever I was saying, I was right. When we play home-friendly games, we have much more chance beating anyone at the home soil. When we proved that when we are provided longer camps, that we are a very decent team who can play against anyone, that we can play exciting and progressive football, that we are able, with the young energy which we brought to our team and opened the doors to all these youngers, that we can play fearless football, that we don't need to be team playing low block and waiting counter attacks, that we can enjoy our game with a ball possession football, vertical football, and progressive football. After all that, we have people so ignorant, not listening a single word which I was proposing or telling them. And to remind you now, I had a meeting and discussion with Chirac and Martin Bain from FSDL, and we were discussing the calendar for 2023 and for the Asian Cup. I said to them, what would you do? Would you give us enough time to prepare for the Asian Games, September FIFA window World Cup qualifiers and Asian Cup if I give up October and November FIFA window? Because these FIFA windows doesn't serve national team well. They are just hurting us. They said to me,
as a layman, wouldn't it be just thinking as a layman to have those extra games for you to pick up teams and sort of, does that help?
Listen, last year was very challenging for us because the Asian Cup was postponed. When Asia Cup was supposed to happen in June, I was so happy because normally ISL finishes end of March or beginning of April, and we would give the players a couple of weeks of rest, and then we would have a long camp to prepare for the Asian Cup. And I was so happy. And then the Asian Cup got postponed once again, got removed from China to Qatar. But then again, we started planning, but I couldn't get certainty about planning because administrators were running the football house. things were not running smoothly there. And when I got approval from Chirac and Martin Bain that my proposal is manageable, that if I give October and November FIFA window to gain more time to prepare for the World Cup qualifiers and the Asian Cup, I was so happy. Because that was a sign for me that it's possible to manage things and work with FSDL in a decent way. That these guys are ready to sit down and discuss things and do everything what it's in their power to help the national team. And then what happens? Without even calling me or asking me anything about what I think, we have people arranging the King's Cup, Merdeka Cup, and all other things which immediately destroyed whatever we were planning. Once these tournaments were accepted, we couldn't go ahead with the sorting out the calendar in the favor of the national team, and everything was destroyed. And what do we have? Once again, it's been proven whatever I was saying, it was right. We got robbed against Iraq at the King's Cup. We got robbed against Malaysia at the Merdeka Cup. We didn't get enough time prior to the Asian Cup. And whatever I was telling in July at that meeting to Kalyan and Harris, exactly that happened. And now go back to that meeting in July. I told them everything was going to happen and what are the options. And I said to them, now and here, you need to decide. Either you trust the process or we shake hands and stay friends. We separate our ways. You know, I will not wait on you to point finger at me after the Asian Cup for what is going to happen. I would rather leave my position now after winning 3 tournaments and look for another job. It's July, football is not played anywhere, everybody is looking for coaches, and I'm in a good position to leave as someone who Indian fans love and adore.
Igor, I want to tell you about this, that I don't know, Indian fans are very fickle this way, and I'll get a lot of hate about this, but I really don't care. Like you, I'm not a populist at all. I say it like it is. I don't remember the last time when we won 1 title. Forget about 3. And 3 in a row, that means doing a treble for a national. See, when a club does a treble, is one of the most historic achievements of that club. Manchester United has done 1. When a country does a treble, it's unprecedented because hardly you have countries winning more than 1 or 2 tournaments. So this was amazing. And in fact, in spite of the fact that we were robbed in Merdeka and we were robbed there, and if we were not, we could have probably added to that treble. But I think it's one of the greatest achievements by an Indian coach. So where credit is due to you, please don't think that the Indian fans don't. I mean, you will always be remembered as the guy who got us that treble, man. We never had that. We never had the winning feeling. And I'll tell you how much it meant. Sandeep was there that day, I think probably in the stadium or saw it.
Yeah.
And I have never in my life ever seen a stadium of football fans sing Vande Mataram and everyone crying. I've never seen that happen. And in fact, it was so good that as you see how good it was, because the Indian cricket fans took that over and tried to project it as their own. And they were doing that, trying to copy the Indian football fans, because it was a moment which will go down in the history of Indian football, when Sunil was singing Vande Mataram and the entire stadium was singing with him. We were all crying. So thank you for those moments, man.
That was incredible feeling, even for me, which I'm not emotionally attached with the song, you know, but feeling the emotions at the stadium at that point, feeling the pride and the passion at that stadium, which was produced by the performance of the boys on the pitch and winning the 3rd consecutive tournament, was something really special, and I will always keep that in my heart, in my memories. But apart from winning the tournaments, I would point to you, the way we performed was something beautiful. Even if you lose a game, but when you perform like that, it's something brilliant, you know, because not long ago, we lost to Kuwait 9-1 at home. Not many people mention that. 9-1 losing to Kuwait at home. You know, People look at the rankings, but Kuwait is brilliant side. Technically, individually, much more quality. You can see that those players went through developmental process, that their first touch is much better than ours, that control of the ball is there, that game understanding is there, much better than what we had. So we need to somehow overcome the difference in the quality with the team work and the unity and the passion. And that's what we did. You know, we worked for 5 years with our boys, developing their core strength, developing their physicality, developing their endurance, trying to make them understand how fearless football is played, how to think ahead of the opponent, how to change the mindset from fearless to champion mindset. You know, and that's not an easy process. And once you reach there, having all difficulties which you are going through, and Ranjit knows the best, when you have such a huge gap from under 16 to under 21, where you have no one winning anything or qualifying anywhere, how are you gonna make success with the national team? If the gap from under 16 to under 21 is such a huge, when there is no results at all whatsoever, who will produce results then? And at the same time, in your home competition, there is no places for these players to play. There is no competitions, there is no tournaments. And the clubs at the same time as having too many foreign players on the pitch, not allowing Indian players to grow. So based on what in India we expect national team to do well? Based on what? Magic word. It doesn't exist. The structure is not there. So all these things are disadvantages to whoever goes there. That's why I said a long time ago, you can bring Mourinho, Guardiola, and Ancelotti together to India. You will not move ahead with the people running the show at the moment the way they run.
Coach, you mentioned about the meeting you had with the AIFF after winning the AIFF Cup. Why did you choose to continue with India, knowing that, you know, the situation in the background?
It was a very simple meeting. So I said to them, you will remember what was the first message to me when Kalyan took over. Do you remember what was the first message to me?
The Asian Cup?
The coach contract will be extended if he qualifies for the quarterfinal of the Asian Cup. And what is that message telling you? You can, sorry my language, fuck off after the Asian Cup. Is that true?
Yeah, that he wants you fired, obviously.
Is that how you treat someone without even meeting him or listening what he's got to say? I waited on him. I waited on him several months. And I was thinking, you will come to my table to see who you're talking to. That's why I used winning 3 tournaments and showing everyone how good we can be, to bring him and his vice president to the table and telling them what I think. And I made them do it my way. I did it my way. Now, you will not wait Asian Cup. You will not put my results under your judgment because you don't know anything about football and how football works. You will do it my way or no way. That's why I said to them, either you show me the trust in the process and you extend my contract now because I don't want to be blamed for what's going to happen. And I know what's going to happen. I can listen to your promises. Your promises are okay to me. But if you're going to fulfill your promises or not will define our end results. And that's what happened. They did nothing. They changed nothing. They didn't fulfill a single promise they gave. We agreed at that meeting that I will send them in a couple of weeks presentation, which I'm going to make for them about first phase of our work, 4 years of work, all in the presentation sent to them, and everything about second phase of the work which needs to be done. With a proposal for the contract extension. They were supposed to answer to me until 1st of September. You think someone answered to me?
Igor, wasn't there also something in the contract that as long as I get whatever I ask for, then I can be responsible for the results? That means if I get my camps, if I get my timing, if I get this,
exactly,
I'll be handled.
Yes.
But if you don't give me those things, then you can't hold me responsible for the results. Is that
exactly? Everything in written form. Everything in written form. So from that meeting onwards until the 2nd June, so it's 9 months. You remember, I signed contract extension
Was this
October
also
4th.
in the written in the contract? What Ranjit just mentioned?
No, that was not written in the contract. That was written in my presentation, where I explained to them where we stand and what I expect them to do and what needs to be done for the team to keep having success. They had everything in written. So waiting September 1st, nothing happening. Mr. Harris got the mandate to negotiate the contract extension with me. He didn't find time to reach me because he was at the meetings and busy. He is a very busy man, you know. And Shaji then taking over because I already engaged my lawyer to send resignation letter from my side throughout while we were at the Asian Games, first King's Cup, and then Asian Games. My lawyer was working on sending the letter of resignation to AIFF. When they have seen that it's very, very serious and I'm going to leave, Shaji took over. He started negotiating with me and we finished negotiation. It was last meeting in the AIFF house at his office on the 3rd October. We agreed the terms for, my only condition there was not my salary. It was taking good care about my Indian staff because they are so much underpaid, it's unbelievable. So taking care about Mahesh, Shamal Walnaby, Velu Damiani, and Joy Gabriel.
By the way, can you tell them a little bit, Igor, about Joy and where he's been poached from and how they are not paying people like Velu and what Velu is to the team and what they're making them do? I mean, it's not right what's happening there because I'm just so sad.
I mean, you know all that. You know, Guy, Velu Damiani, who is a team manager, who is not only team manager for the senior national team, he's handling all underage groups also. So while he is with the senior team, he's arranging camps for women team, for under 23 team, for under 21 team, for under 19 team, for under 18, for under 16, for everyone. That's not the way to work. He is the guy as a team manager who carries the bags from AIFF to the airport every time we go there. Is that how serious house is organized? But there is a cargo transport organization which you can call with a truck to come to pick up all the bags. You have insurance on everything, so you wouldn't lose the GPS at the airport. If that's organized properly, you wouldn't lose equipment worth $55,000. Because we are trying to save 10 rupees on unnecessary things, and then it costs you $55,000. And you have team manager carrying the bags from truck to the airport and then from the airport to the truck every time. That's not the job for the team manager. Joy Gabriel, we were stealing match analysts from Goa. Every time prior to the camp, I had to discuss and to ask my dear friend Manolo, you know, is it possible for Goa to release him? Do you need him? You know, is there any chance we can get him? And not being paid.
Why him? Why Joy? Why not any other analyst, or who was the analyst that AIFF had? This is the last 1.5 years, right? Before that, who was it?
Because there's no money, but money
Listen,
part.
Not only that, he's good, he's wonderful, he's doing his job in such a brilliant way. You know, he cannot be ashamed of doing anything different from all the boys who are match analysts in the Premier League or anywhere else. He's doing magnificent job. He is a boy who knows football, who plays football, who understands game, and who can see the things. And it's a great help to the coach. Simple as that. Then Shamal Walnaby.
And what about Instat and Viscout? Were they also not given to you? I mean, that's
come on. We lost Viscout 3 years ago, I think. Since 3 years, we didn't have Viscout.
Do you know that every team in the ISL is that? I mean, this is just like, okay.
But Ranjit, with such a little things being occupied and asking to re-sign the contracts to have these platforms which are necessary there for the work.
They make the difference. They make the little difference. 1%.
Exactly. So I had to pull my strings to get somehow Instat given to us for free, and then we scout stealing from Goa using their platform because Joy was with us and all that. That's ridiculous. That's a shame, you know. I'll tell you about AFC coaching conference, which happened recently in Kuala Lumpur. I was there, you know. So one of the main topics, and the panel where I was taking part of was support staff and importance of the support staff for the national team in today football. Then you have on the screen 2 buses. One bus, and it states players. And second bus is staff and support staff. So it's telling you it's the same number of people at least there in 2 buses. And then people, after the panel was finished, start asking the coaches and technical directors from various football federations, you know, how many staff and support staff you have, how many you have, how many you have. So if I tell you that the place where we are trying to go to be top 10 in Asia, not one of them is having less than 40 staff and going with the national team. 40. Japan 55. Japan 55. Qatar 52. Australia 46. 46 people taking care of the national team players. And then a guy asked me, Igor, what about India? And I got up and I'm trying to be funny, you know. I'm ashamed because I need to answer the question. I said I requested for 25. I got much less than that 4, but I lost 2 on the way because they still didn't sign the contracts.
Lost 2 on the way.
I tried to be funny, you see, because answering that question in a serious way would say how unprofessional organization we are and how wrongdoings are going on there, because staff and support staff are the cheapest thing. Human capital is the cheapest thing in India because the wages in India are so low. And that's one thing we shouldn't be trying to save money on. But on the other hand, money is spent on various other things which got nothing to do with football. And that's the problem there also.
So, Igor, you said a lot. There's a lot to unpack over there. And I noted some points that I wanted to check with you about all the things that you mentioned here. Were there, you mentioned about giving back to the academy a portion of the money that you will get from AIFF. Is there any other that sort of, you know, piqued your interest about the work that they're doing, the good work these academies are doing? Any others?
Listen, I got we created a strong bond because I could see the same passion which I carry about football. I saw it in him. I recognized that, you know. And as much people have different opinion about him, believe me, football in India and AIFF is the place who needs not 1 Ranjit Bajaj, needs 5 Ranjit Bajaj to make it right. Because working with honesty and giving everything to football is not easy thing to do. You have so many wrong people in football these days because football is about opportunity and the big money, investment, hard work, and then success and huge amounts of money. But most of the people who are involved in football, not only in India, anywhere else, are just about the money. You know, nice and easy populist things, taking photos with the celebrities and all that, being close and then picking up easy money, let's say. But working hard, producing players, organizing academy, taking care of the players who are coming from poor areas, poor families, making sure nothing is missed to them, taking care about their nutrition, their rest, their training sessions, making sure they have good coaches, organized travels, participating in the tournaments. You need to live their lives. And you can clearly see on a daily basis that this guy is doing that. That's why he needs help. And I'm ready. I will be there for him, not today or tomorrow, all my life. Whenever he needs me, he will get the help, whatever I can do for him.
Were you aware of, was there anything for the national team? Because AIFF in the last, say, 2 years signed MOU with CAFA, with QFA, with the Saudi. Was there anything for the national team or junior national team played something here and there?
What happened out of these?
Yeah, I think Kafa is very interested.
And nothing will happen. And nothing will happen. Believe me. Also, if we think that Wenger will develop football in India, we are on the wrong path.
For Kafa, we had a thing last year where then they've had 3 tournaments. After that, one for under 16, one for 20, and one senior. They've not even invited us for one. What kind of a partnership is Kafa with? And then with Saudi Arabia, what did we get out of it? That we went there and we had a Santosh Trophy. What did we need? We should have sent our national team there for 1-2 months training camp. That's what should have come out of this. See, partnerships have to help our national team, junior or senior, in some way. Otherwise, partnerships don't matter. I mean, you can keep having as many.
Exactly.
Who takes the final call on these international matches and tournaments? There is an exco, right? Executive committee. Or is it just the president or the...
I don't know, to be honest. When I told Kalyan, you remember that when I was going to Boria's conclave, you know, that he was really trying hard to participate and show up at this conclave, and he was continuously putting pressure on Boria to invite him, because some article was published at that time that Stimac and AIFF are having disputes and are not in good terms. So Kalyan did everything to show up there and take the part in the panel I was involved in, you know, to polish his face, once again populist act, you know. And then we had this last meeting where I had to listen his lies about the charter flight, about the contract extension for my staff. That was 5-6 months after we agreed everything. So my staff was supposed to have contract extension last year in October, when I signed the contract together with Mahesh in the football house. Since then, only my Croatian staff signed contract extension.
By the way, Igor right now is talking about his Indian staff. He's not talking about only Indian staff.
Yeah, because nothing changed much in regards to the contracts of me and my Croatian staff. I just requested for us to get that difference in inflation, which was there from 2019. When people say today you have 30,000 a month, that's much less than 24,000 in 2019. You understand? So I just asked, just make that difference right, because that's not the same amount anymore. So I didn't ask anything for myself or my Croatian staff. I wanted to make sure that Mahesh is happy working, that Velu is happy working, that Shamal is happy working, and Joy Gabriel. And that they have the contract, and that they know for what reason, apart from having passion and loving Indian national team, are coming from there, you know. So, and it was not done. And then in that meeting with the Kalyan, you know, he asked me, Coach, how I can help you? Coming 5-6 months after we agreed everything about contract extension, and knowing that contracts were not signed, asking me how I can help you. I said, help us to reach Abba City in a good way, so we can travel safe, on time, to be there to prepare for the game, and finally make sure that my employees and my staff signed the contract, because I betrayed them. I was the one negotiating their contracts. I was the one telling them that everything is agreed, and I was the one repeating to them 5-6 times that the contracts will be signed next day, listening your promises. And I felt betraying my own staff. He said, done. It's done. It's done, and nothing happens again. Several months again. And then we start the camp, and I'll tell you, they did everything possible for the last camp now, prior to the games against Kuwait and Qatar. Everything was different, because the water came here. You know, they were expecting us probably anyhow to beat Afghanistan a couple of times and all that, and make sure that we just need the draw against Kuwait. After that didn't happen. Coach, what do you need every day? Let's make sure we win. What do you need? How you want to travel? This and that. Long camp, no problem. Orisha, no problem.
Basically, it's not incompetence. it's not incompetence, it's just wanting to do something and not wanting to do something.
Exactly.
It's not even that they're incompetent. That means they select and selectively do stuff, but they don't understand when they're doing it selectively, end of the day, they're not hurting you, Igor, they're hurting us, they're hurting
the team. Yeah. Exactly. And then again, we started the camp without match analyst and sports psychologists because they didn't honor the agreement which was made 8-9 months ago. They started renegotiating what was agreed already, you know. And then Joy Gabriel joined us a couple of weeks after the camp started, and Shamal Walnabi, because he couldn't wait. The guy leaves from his work. He already committed himself to various lectures he was supposed to give at the Cambridge in the USA also. He explained to me that he can join us only on 2nd June, so a few days prior to the Kuwait game. And that's what happened. Obviously, they waited so long. So once again, even that camp was without full support staff there, without boys having possibility of executing and maximizing the work which was needed for that camp. But anyhow, that's most of it.
Just a question, Igor. I don't know. I mean, see, I run a club. When I run a club, suppose, I'm just giving you an example. Suppose I play Mohun Bagan tomorrow. Mohun Bagan after 1 week. So I know that the team is better than me and they are on a much higher level. So how I can get them is getting that little advantage, that because I know Mohun Bagan will never study me because they think they're too good. But if I study Mohun Bagan well enough, that means because I have enough games and I do enough opposition analysis. And if I know that this is Sunny Norde who's playing for them and he only has a left foot, and if I tell my players and I make them practice on a daily basis for 1 week of how to block that left foot, I block their goal scoring opportunity. Or if I know that these are their set pieces they have, and I make sure they are blockers on the set pieces or the runs or this, that is 90% of the game done at that level, international level. You just need to either make sure you've got your set pieces covered or your defense in your set pieces or your transition covered if they have a fast counter attack. But you only do that when you have analysis. And I saw Joy, I was there for the match because I'm there for all the matches supporting India. And I saw that Joy came in 2 days before the Kuwait match. How the hell are you supposed to do analysis? For doing one match, I mean, I do analysis on my own. For doing one match, it takes me, for every 10 minutes, it takes me 60 minutes. So for one match, it takes me around 7 hours. Maybe Joy is an expert, he can do it in 3. But then making sure that each thing is given to the defense team, to the attacking coaches, the defense coaches, the goalkeeping coaches. For example, the goalkeeping coaches have to be knowing which side the penalties go, which side the free kicks go, and what. And you need to practice that then to make sure it doesn't happen. So how are you doing this without GPS, without analysis? Don't you think that's a huge disadvantage to our country when everyone is trying to see, end of the day, the difference between international matches is never going to be 60 for 100. It's always going to be 19-20. And that little edges come from sports psychology.
From those little things.
From rehab,
exactly.
from proper
and
travel.
it's not only about analyzing how to stop the opponent. It's also making sure about improving yourself on a daily basis, because when I have Joy with us on a daily basis during the camp, then we are recording our training sessions, and then we discussed after the training sessions, players come individually to him to watch what was wrongdoing by them in that training session and how to change the things and improve things. It's about challenging yourself and working on improving yourself on a daily basis, you see. So it has huge impact. I always mention to my players, it's 11 of you starting the game. Okay, so we are the national team. I don't have a chance to spend whole year with you to help you improve. Also, it's not easy for your coaches in the clubs because your clubs are only about travel and the games. There is no proper pre-season. There is no time between the games for your coaches to work with you on individual improvements. It's now up to you how much free time you're going to spend invested in your improvement. Are you ready to spend part of your salary paying the fitness coach to work with you in the private hours? How much care you're going to take of your nutrition? how much time you're going to spend instead of social media with the joy, exchanging communication with him and analyzing each one of your games, going through what was wrong, what needs to be better, how to improve your things. And then I say to them, and now imagine this, if every time when you go back from the national team to your clubs, in 3 months' time, you come back to this national team improving 1% only, each one of you, our team overall is better 11%. Our team as a team is better 11% if each one of you improves 1%. And every time like that. Obviously, it's not easy with the young boys to have such an influence, because when they go back, then, you know, distraction is here, distraction is there, you know, big salaries, everything is distraction surrounding them, everything. But they did brilliant job, I need to tell you. Because when I see today our team and our boys, their physicality, their game understanding, improvement in passing, in mindset especially, fabulous work has been done. And when I think about everything at the end of the day, whatever someone can say, excuses or no excuses, what would be talking last few days if we were not robbed against Iraq, Malaysia, and Qatar? What would be the talk last few days if we were still around 100 ranked and qualified for the third round? What would be the talk? You would all celebrate me. You would all speak glorious things about the coach, about the team performing against Qatar. Let's go back to Qatar game. When was the last time?
The next day, the headline would have been India's greatest moment in football, because that would have been.
Absolutely. And don't forget, is that player's fault or my fault that we didn't win that game? Is our fault that we didn't win Iraq? Is our fault that we didn't win Malaysia? Possibly going into winning 5 tournaments, consecutive tournaments. India, in 1 year, going to win 5 tournaments. Can you believe what we are talking? Someone took it from us. And someone was not there at the position he should be to protect his team. And that's not my part of the job. Someone was going somewhere else instead of doing his job and protecting the team on the pitch. Someone didn't understand what I was doing when I was getting red cards during the tournaments. I was showing them the way how to protect the team and the players on the pitch. They didn't take the lesson right way. You know what kind of words they sent to me in the show cause letter I received? You know what they said to me? That I am a liability to Indian football. They called me liability because of the red cards. They cannot understand, because they don't understand football, how it functions. And what can I do?
This
to
is
teach them.
Notice for the SAF game, the 2 red cards in the SAF games?
Yes, yes. Exactly.
Was there anything else?
And then again, as I said, you know, that the only thing we can call success from these guys was keeping me quiet. Because after they sent me show cause letter and final warning letter for my statements, I couldn't speak no more. I couldn't say a word to give them reason to sack me. Because that's what they wanted, obviously. Because if you have simple way of dealing with me, call me. Not sending me show cause letter and leaking it publicly immediately prior. I received the letter. Letter is all open in public in Indian media. Just to polish their face against FSDL, towards FSDL. To please someone. Not to have positive effect for Indian football, but to please someone you depend on. And they cannot hide behind anything. They are dependent on FSDL. They can't move their ass without asking FSDL first what's going to happen. But it's possible to work in a different way.
But Igor,
you don't need to hurt me to please
I don't
FSDL.
think they asked on this. So from very good sources, I've come to know that FSDL is really, really pissed off with AIFF because
And
course.
they expect, because now they expect them to pay you because they
but
don't.
Listen.
you had already mentioned that FSDL agreed when in conversation with you to give you the kind of calendar you wanted.
But listen to me carefully, because people were trying to think or somehow getting conclusion that I have something against FSDL. Why should I do that? I know that these people are big ego people. They are big egos, and that's anywhere in the world with the people who are very rich and they are investing. They're businessmen. You know what's in their mind. It's end profit. They employ proper people. They pay good. They try to organize things in a proper way. And if you are on their way, they will remove you. That's how it works. You know. But whatever I was saying at the beginning of my work, I was saying in the best way to help everyone, because Indian football needs FSDL and Reliance there. There is no one else. And the best thing and the way of doing things is letting them occupy all the chairs in AIFF and let them run the show for 5 years to see where it's going to go. Like this, doing it, where everyone thinks that AIFF would do better without them. That's not true.
I'm the biggest critic of FSDL, but that's where I agree.
But at the same time, you understand how much they mean to Indian football.
But they need to take over the whole thing, because they are only focused on the top. They need to take over the bottom, because unless our bottom is good, it's never going to happen to the top. Simple. So they need to get down there as well.
I agree with you, because running the show like this, it's not by the standards of FIFA. Corporate cannot run the league top tier. That's out of the mind. That's the main reason why FSDL needs to enter strongly into the chairs of the football house and run things from inside, because the most of the guys who are there now, they are amateurs. They don't care about football, about development of football. They are using their chairs to promote their political careers or their private lives. And that's the last thing Indian football needs.
So, Ranjit, I want to ask you something, because you've been involved in football for a long time. You've run clubs. You were part of COA in the interim. Based on the letter that Igor had sent, where he said people who are responsible for this in the chairs should also leave if I choose to leave. I have never heard of a situation like this in anywhere, like Manchester United or something. Managers keep changing until and eventually push comes to shove, right? So
I'll tell you, Sandeep,
I just want to put this out there, because you know me, I am not a defender of AIFF by any means, but I want to play the devil's advocate here.
Yeah, you have to. Okay, no, but that's why we get the other side to it. See, by doing that, he has shown that he's not interested in money. He's not interested even, and when I say money, the amount of money we're talking about is 6 crores. And how guaranteed is he to get it? I can give you a blank, even though I don't have any money, but I can give you a blank check for my house on that name that he will get that money if he goes to FIFA or gas, because even a player gets it because it's in the contract. It's mutually terminating a contract and unilaterally doing it. It's a world of a difference, and they're screwed. They don't know what they've done. But if he could have just kept quiet there and said, fine, I'm going to go on a bloody holiday. I'm perfectly fine. And he's going to get a job. You can write and write. He's going to get a job within a couple of months, guaranteed. So he's not going to be the one losing out. But he said, because he cared about Indian football, that I want to have the top brass go, because he thinks the blame is now basically what Igor says, that he's being made the scapegoat. Scapegoat not only for the result now, for all the performance of the Indian team over the past 6 years he's been there, or everything else which has been going wrong in Indian football. This is not a problem this time. This happens every time. There's a scapegoat made somewhere and everything is put on him and then it's put under the carpet. So with this, at least we'll know if the people are there, and somebody has to come out and give a statement. I mean, talking about the top brass again, what they think of this offer. Because it's like saving 6 crores for Indian football, isn't it? Or it's about a power chair. So, and do you have that money? You don't. You're going to go and beg FSDL now for that money. How are you going to pay? Okay, now and where is this? Okay, even if this money comes in, where is it going to be taken from? It's going to be taken from my youth development. It's going to be taken from second division, from women's league, from I League. That's the only place they have the money. And that little bit, they're going to keep on cutting and cutting and cutting. So they have just shot themselves in the foot. They've cut the branch of the tree where they're sitting on them. And this, unfortunately, is a regular occurrence in Indian football since Maidan days.
Let me enter here, because when I said to Satya, what's the rush? There is no game ahead. Give me a couple of days rest and to see where I stand with the new job. And then it will be easy way out for everyone. Mutual understanding, and that's it. Separate ways. Done. Nicely. Decent way. I was 1,000,000% sure. I was not even thinking about that someone can be so stupid there or disrespectful to do something like that. Why should you expect someone to act against himself? It was never on my mind. It can't happen.
See,
and I was very
sure.
after.
Why? Because basically, if you are doing this, you are not hurting anyone but yourself. That is
Exactly.
why Igor was so sure. Because it would have been the most stupid move ever. And they've done it.
But not only that, Ranjit, when I signed my first extension in 2022, October or December, I'm not sure. This annex of the contract was approved by executive committee, and everyone knew about it. The only condition I had to extend my contract.
Igor, was it some AIFF lawyer?
AIFF lawyer, yeah. I received the draft of the contract. The only condition I had, because I didn't trust these people because of the message they sent to me, you will walk away after the Asian Cup, Okay, at least I will make sure you will not sack me prior to that, because you are even ready to do so. So what do you want to do mainly? Not talking about salaries, any improvements. I will protect myself, my personality, my football image. And that's the only thing I asked. In the last few days, what do you have? These people being surprised with the consequences they need to face after sending the termination letter, and trying to point finger at Shaji. Listen this. They are trying to point finger at Shaji, he is the one who did it, we didn't know. This was signed in 2022, approved by Kalyan, approved by executive committee and everyone there, and checked by the lawyer.
And also, I would like to know, being Shaji, yes, he was the president of Football Delhi, but once he got into the AIFF, he was on salary. So he was Sandeep, correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't he an employee? Yes?
He was, yeah.
Yes. How can an employee take the decision without asking his bosses, And apparently, even this time, when the technical committee, Mr. I.M. Bijian, had apparently said it very clearly that we don't want him, and Shaji overruled him. How can you think Shaji as an employee has that power and can do that when the executive committee is the one who gives the appointment and everything else? And if that's how it happened, then the processes are fucked. If that's not how it's happened, then there's something else that it meets the eye.
So so you're saying Kalyan, the top brass and the technical committee all knew about the no termination clause?
Listen, the only thing what I think of is they didn't even read the annexes before deciding to send termination letter. But it's not easy, to read the 3-page annex. That's a very difficult thing to do. It takes you at least 60 seconds of your time. You don't even need to employ a lawyer or to pay any. No, you don't need to employ a lawyer, which is normal thing to do before sending termination letter of the contract, which is worth $1 million, let's say. You will employ a lawyer to pay him $1,000 to put his signature there. This is the consequence you're going to face if you do that. That's the cost. They didn't do that, but they also didn't read 3-page annex. It's exactly 3 pages, and you don't need to read. You don't need to read 3 pages. It's only
Why
1
this
page.
is true? Because at 4:35 I talked to Satya. This happened around 7:30. That means they've not actually gone and taken a legal opinion on it, or they've not, or if they have, they've not.
This was
gone
already
about
out in the news. I mean, they don't have to go and take a legal opinion. No, even I knew that it was a problem.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
So, at any point, did AIFF come back once they realized the contract was so not in their favor to sort of renegotiate or maybe change something?
It's too late for that, although they didn't even try. But believe me, they don't care about that because it's not coming out of their pocket. It's not coming out of their
you
pocket.
understand the ego.
You know what is their problem now? Their
It's
problem now is what else is Igor going to say?
But it's
Where-
not their money.
where
Why
next?
should they have a problem? They are not. See, if it was going to come out of their pockets, they would have. I mean, Sandeep, if you are going to be paying 6 crore out of your pocket, I'll be sitting outside Igor's house and saying, "Come on, let's renegotiate, man."
Yeah, but Ranjit,
So,
you also know,
Yeah.
also know that it's much better that I get this money than them. Because you wouldn't see it
not
on
their
either
money.
from the
That's
football.
what I'm saying. They don't care. It's not their money. I mean, they can make this decision without thinking. And now they're actually going to FSDL and now they're begging them, please give us the money because that's the only way the money will come. There's no other way. And if FSDL refuses, then it's going to come out of one of the youth competitions or something is going to be cancelled next year.
So, Igor, once the news broke, you were already planning to leave. You had zero faith in AIFF by that time. The relationship had broken. Was there ever a point where you thought, you know what, let's bygone be bygone, we'll just shake hands and move on because I don't want this headache?
No, I told yesterday, and I will repeat you, my decision about leaving my position was made several months back. Even before Sunil decided to say goodbye to Indian jersey, he called me in March, somewhere in March, to tell me that his farewell will be a Kuwait game, and he asked me not to say to anyone, but he wanted me to know so I can start preparing the team and everything afterwards and all that. I said to him, don't worry, my son, Qatar game will be my last one also. Never mind, we qualify or not. And this, what I'm telling you, several people know. I made up my mind about leaving my position with the Qatar game. Qualified or not. That was my decision because for me, there was no purpose anymore about taking everything on my shoulders, looking several people there in India only trying to give their life to football and football development and not being taken care of by those authorities who are responsible for football in India to help them and to make sure that football starts functioning properly, you know. So my mind was made up long time ago about how and when to leave my position. So it's not question about winning or losing against Kuwait, Afghanistan or Qatar. The decision was made long before.
Yeah, no, that's what I was asking since you were anyway leaving. And once AIFF decided to terminate, was there ever a thing that I have to now go for legislation, take it to CAS, it's a lot of headache, let's just leave it, forget about the chapter and move on? Was that a thought ever?
But it's not a headache.
No,
It's a very simple application to CAS and he'll get the money. It's not a headache at all. You understand?
It's not,
It's
I have
just one
nothing.
application and that's what I'm saying. It's so
Listen.
easy. 6 crores in your hand.
What Ranjit is telling you, what Ranjit is telling you now, it's nothing to do with the Indian court. Indian court will receive only a sue for the mental harassment. That will be an extra one. And the full amount received from that will go to Indian football academies.
Wait, he was planning of suing for mental harassment also?
Absolutely, absolutely. Because dealing with these people is mental harassment, definitely. And the way they deal with the people, how they treat the people, and what they done to me, with everything what happened in the past few months. So the Indian lawyer will take care of that. The main part which we are saying here is very simple procedure. They have another 7 days to pay, which was requested by my letter there. Once they don't do that, or if they don't do that, the letter goes to FIFA. There is arbitrary committee which will bring decision in a couple of weeks, no more than that. the AIFF will receive the judgment from the FIFA to pay full amount of 2 years salary from the contract. They can complain about that. It will cost them another $20,000 to $30,000.
Yeah. So I'm just going to tell you the
$20,000
minimum
to $30,000, but the outcome will not change
Yes.
apart from delaying the payment 2 to 3 months, no more than that. But it's very simple procedure.
Just to go to CAS, it costs over $100,000 for the camera and the fees. Let me tell everyone, $100,000 is minimum expenditure for CAS.
Yeah.
So you came in at a time under Kushal Das and Praful Patel. They were the regime then, and Ranjit was one of the worst, vocal opposition at that time. Also, what is the comparison when you do the comparison? Like when you compare them and the brass now, how different are they? Because we know that the previous regime was also in a lot of way corrupted.
No, I know. Not getting into that, because on one hand I have people I was working for, on the other hand I have a brother and a friend, and who is fighting for Indian football. But from the professional side of the thing, I can tell you that football-wise, Kushal Das, Praful Patel and Abhishek Yadav are space shuttle for these people today in football. They are when we say space shuttle in Croatia, then we think that's something amazing. So Praful Patel, Kushal Das and Abhishek Yadav in football words are space shuttle for Kali and Shobi and these boys now there. You cannot compare that. Not entering the things, what's behind, how someone was dealing with this and that, I'm not the judge here. I'm talking from my point of view, from the head coach position, how the things are run and how the care was taken about Indian football. Let me take you back. The only valuable project Indian Football Federation had in a recent decade was Indian Aero Project. Indian Aero Project. That's the only valuable project which happened in India, bringing a new generation of players, preparing that generation of players for the World Cup 2017. And out of that project and out of that work, together with the work of Minerva Academy and few others, we have the national team today. Otherwise, there wouldn't be any.
Igor, even with Minerva, they wouldn't have been unless there was the Arrows. Arrows got Minerva players to go play in them.
Exactly. And you know that. So that project didn't cost AIFF 1 rupee. Afterwards, I'm saying, when the project was placed in Odisha, all the costs were covered by Odisha government. So there was no cost for AIFF. It doesn't exist anymore. What was the reason to take out that project? We had our boys competing in I-League without foreign players. We had our coach there. I was sending my staff there to help them develop in a proper way. We were getting the players out of I-League team Indian Aero, which was there on a regular basis. If you look today, I think that all of the members of under 17 World Cup got the chance to play for the senior team. Is it true? Ranjit, help me here.
Yeah.
Amarjit was the first one.
Yeah.
Amarjit was the first one, and everybody was surprised when they witnessed how well he can play, and nobody expected him to be the first one. He got injured and faced challenges and difficulties after that injury. Then we had Suresh, Jigson, Anwar, Komal Tatal was with us, Aniket Yadav was with us, Rahim Ali is here, Raul Kepe is here. Who deserves the credit? Who deserves the credit for that? AIFF, who was thinking wise at that time and investing money for the purpose of creating better future for Indian football.
This is exactly what I say, what Igor says, and this is a surprising statement coming from me. That's why FSDL, see, this was all done because of Arrows. That's what we are saying. FSDL needs to come in, when I say come in, invest and take over the running of the junior football. Because unless
They
they
are
do
doing
that,
it, no, Ranjit, slowly entering into that side also.
no, they're doing their own thing. So, and they don't want to get into the mess of AIFF. That's why they're doing their other invest.
Probably a smart
crores,
move.
50 crores in Reliance youth football, then even talk to the AIFF guys because they tried. So that's why I'm saying there's nothing known as, you can't say, okay, I will only take care of the cherry on top and I hope the cherry is beautiful. It's not going to be beautiful unless it's a beautiful cherry tree. So they have to take care of the tree. They have to come in. There's no half, I will only, they have to. And they have the contract we are backing it. Because that's why you need the professionalism. That's why you need world standards. That's why you need things like this, which are so callous of wasting Indian football money, of just firing, terminating people without reading contracts, or cancelling things like arrows, or all the everyday scams we hear about. All these things would not be possible if the structure is professional. Not only in the football side, but even especially in the AIFF house.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll tell you, I have great respect for Satya. What Satya has done in Karnataka, what he's done in Karnataka is mind-blowing. Do you know why is he still acting GS? Why is he not GS? Are they saving this for somebody? So when you find good people, they are not given proper power and they're doing. I think Satya is the perfect person to be there, and you hardly have James like this. And same, you've got people in Indian football. So it's not just I'm talking about Satya. You've got great people like you got Bali in Punjab. Bali in Punjab was doing a great job. Tete in Mizoram was doing a fantastic job. And you can name so many more. Or even the new Assam secretary who's come in, Brahma, he's doing a great job. You find people like that, but then you try to make sure you don't keep them in the center. That's worse, man. I mean, so we really need a rehaul, man. I mean,
yeah, I agree. All these people, I've had a chance to interact with a lot of them. Fantastic people who did great jobs in their state. Igor, just slightly moving on, one of the statements, it just popped in my head. One of the statements that was released was that you had worked without for over 200 days. From the reports that I could find, it was lost during Asian Games. And then between that and the Asian Cup, it was maybe a few months. So this 200 days, does that mean the GPS was lost before? Or was there any other thing that we
GPS was lost, I think, on our way to Merdeka Cup or to Asian Games. That was the flight from India to Singapore. So was it connecting flight to China for the Asian Games or to Merdeka Cup? I'm not sure. Don't get me wrong, but it's a small difference in time. So it was somewhere in September or October, and we got the GPS equipment just now prior to last camp in May. Okay. So you can calculate how many days we were without GPS equipment. I tried to somehow compensate that lack of equipment with video cameras, which are there to record the training sessions and the games with. And Joy had to know the guy who is purchasing this equipment. He made fantastic deal for us, worth only $1,000 for 12 months. And I requested Satya to immediately act because they had one equipment ready for us. At that time, I even offered to pay that $1,000 from my salary so we can get that equipment on time. Satya told me that it's done, no need for you to pay, Igor. We'll do it. And obviously we were late because for Satya to do something, he needs approvals from another 5 instances there. So we didn't get even these video cameras to record the training sessions.
Yeah. Igor, yesterday there was a question raised, which you said you didn't want to talk about, but I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't bring it up again.
No, please.
And just slightly longer question. There were multiple reports about astrologers being involved in picking teams and stuff. And when Ranjit, while you were in COA, this was found out to be something that the previous regime had done as well. So I had a couple of questions here. Was this continued? And if it did, how did it impact the team selection? And if it had not continued, then was this a story that was rehashed and published again just during those times when a lot of reports were
I was the one, Sandeep, who took it out of COA.
I remember we did the podcast. And you were,
so I told you, and it was that time. So it was selectively leaked now again for some reason. So now you can go on. So now you know exactly because we were on that podcast when I told you what's happening there. Okay?
Okay, let me be clear one last time about that. Astrologists had no influence on team selection or anything in regards to what was our job there. He was not helping me. I was requested by at that time General Secretary Kushal Das to help him to check if he can in the future somehow influence the game or be of service to someone in any sports, because he had no experience in sports, working in sports. Okay. So I was trying to explain the guy how football works and what are the important things in football specifically, and these 1 or 2 meetings which we had, I enjoyed. The guy is, as a person, he's a wonderful guy. I enjoyed it really, and I didn't have any experience whatsoever talking to astrologer. It's not common in our religion to do so. I know in India you practice that, but no one wants to admit. And that's exactly what he told me when I asked him, how is your job? How is in India working this with astrologer? And he told me, I was laughing at that time. He told me, I feel like a whore, everyone visits me, no one wants to admit. That's what he told me. So I said to him then, I don't want you to be seen by any of my players, you can call me if you need something to be explained and all that, but no coming to the hotel and being seen here or anything like that.
So it wasn't your choice, or it wasn't selected by you, or it wasn't that, I want this guy.
No, come on, give me a break.
Why was he even there?
Sandeep, listen,
Ranjit.
one second. So you've got 40, he's just gave a story about support staff, of how much support staff he required. Do you really think if he had a choice to add a support staff, that guy would have been the astrologer position? Or would it have been the psychologist or somebody like a Joy Gabriel?
But listen, when I was telling you that there were always people who try to hurt me in any way and using each opportunity to point finger at me, that was one of the situations where they tried to do so. Although even after yesterday, Sandeep, press conference which you witnessed, you were there, you could see Bengali article yesterday coming out that it was told that Sunil was the one deciding who will play because he's got the agency and protecting his players and all that. I mean, these things are ridiculous, Such people should be excluded for taking part in any football communication or doing anything, because that's a wrong thing to do, So there will always be people trying to invent the things which never happened, to speak about things which never happened, to come to conclusions that something was done in a wrong way when there was everything done in a proper way and a good way.
So, Coach, when this story broke, nobody from AIFF denied it. You could have come out and said no, could have even put a defamation case on the publication who did it. And the same with the publications who write.
How can you put a defamation case on something which is true? It was true. They did hire. They bloody paid astrologer. They paid. And on top of that, he can't do it now because they keep on bloody gagging him for that. So yes, AIFF should have come out and denied it. But how can they deny it when I've got checks proving that they paid him? And we stopped half the payment, by the way. So he was only paid half, and half was got.
The only thing, there was no reason to hide anything. You can't hide something which is written in the contract, which is there existing when you have the proof of the payment. Problem for me was that I didn't have a clue that someone was contracted or that someone was paid to do certain service for the national team. I was convinced that I was helping him to understand game of football and to help him understand if he can influence in the future somehow sports he wants to get involved in.
Coach, about the team itself, team selection part. Now, Ranjit, you can also add to this answer. Most of the players, almost 100% of the players, always came from the ISL. You have said why you prefer to choose players from the ISL. But there was always questions, right? Like, why would a player like Lalin Zwala, who was doing so well in Aizawl, not get a look into the national camp? Maybe would he be a better option than another Indian striker who's not getting that amount of minutes in the ISL? Those kind of questions. That is something that was always there. So I just wanted to get your opinion on this.
If I answer you this question, then it might look subjective.
Hmm.
Answer can give you Ranjit, who understands the difference in football pace and intensity even between ISL and I-League games. He can tell you the difference from the organization point of view, because he can tell you how games were possibly fixed this year in I-League. So for me, to take the players from the league where we have these things happening and watching that even ISL game intensity is far below what we need for the international level, and going even level below to choose the players. Then again, you can tell me in which country in the world national team coaches are selecting the players from the second top tier.
Yeah.
So why should India be different? But I prove to you again now that the job we were doing with scouting I-League throughout the years, and we need to go back to one thing which I want to speak about, because many people asked, where is the coach, why he's not attending the games and this and that.
For scouting purposes, that is the question, right? Yeah.
Okay. So my assistant Mahesh was responsible for scouting I-League games. I was focused and concentrated on watching each ISL games. Okay. Out of the scouting of I-League games, we got David and Edmund, when we were sure that these boys have enough passion, commitment, and quality to possibly challenge themselves at the national team training practice. And we were right. We spotted well a couple of boys who are there possibly for the future. And we proved that door is not closed. But I can call players only when I'm sure about their quality. Because senior national team dressing room is not something where you can have trials. It's not place for trials. It's place where you can bring the players when you are sure about their quality. Even now, these days, and throughout last 5 years, you know, many, I would say thousands of messages and mails from young boys in India who are looking to fulfill their dream playing for the national team. You know, they are 13, 14, 15 or 17 years of age. Coach, can I have a trial with you? Coach, can I have a trial with you? No one explained to these boys that without playing club competitions, without proving yourself playing in the league, is it a state league or district league or whatever league is there, that's the only way of getting to the national team group in your age. It's same at the level for a senior national team. The top tier in the country is ISL. Is it true? We all recognize that. Do we recognize that the best football is played in ISL? It's true. We cannot escape from that. So where I'm going to look for the players for the national team? In Bangladesh? I mean, it's a normal procedure.
Comes from the fact that previously, when Stephen Constantine was here, he picked up players from Santosh Trophy and all. I think Manveer, Ranjit, you might correct me if I'm wrong. Manveer was picked up from
I'll
Santosh
tell
Trophy.
you the difference. I'll tell you. See, at that time,
I think that's where the comparison
because
comes
ush time pe, that was there. On top of that, ISL was just a tournament, and it was not. And the same players who were playing
It's a totally
in
different time.
Yeah, so they were the same players who were playing in I-League were playing in ISL. How do I know? Because in the second division, I lost to FC Dempo. Okay, and Dempo, one day before my tournament, the second division ended, they got all the FC Goa guys back, and they thrashed us. So and there was not even transfer. That means the same guys couldn't go and play for Dempo today and FC Goa tomorrow. That's the time we're talking about. So obviously, if you've got players playing all over, then there was no first division, second division, third division.
Different time. Yeah.
Now, but the thing is that are there players in the I-League who are good enough to be in the ISL? Yes, they are. Are there players good enough to be in the Indian team in the I-League? very few. I would say they're probably players in the second division or even in a state league who are good enough to be in the Indian team, but they have to be picked out after they have spent enough time. If a player is good, he'll get game time and then game time and game time and then develop. So yes, but I don't think our scouts are doing our job properly, because they should be going to the deepest parts and getting these boys at least into daily clubs so that they get ahead.
Yeah, so, Coach, I just have two more questions.
Yep, I wanted to I reminded you, I will speak about something which was mentioned many times, you know, because they were pointing finger at me. Where is the coach? He's at home in Croatia, enjoying himself with his family, not showing to watch live games and all that. You know how huge difference is in quality and the work watching games on TV and doing my job in peace, writing down the things which I see are wrong and good, and then discussing these things after the game with the coaches and my players, instead of wasting the money which is not there from AIFF to pay accommodation to me, to pay the hotel rooms for me, to bring me to the stadiums where I cannot watch in peace the games, because there is hundreds of people who wants to take photos and do the stuff and things, you know, and you need to pay attention to them because that's our part of our job also. But you cannot watch the game, you cannot do your job. So you guys also need to explain to everyone who is anytime mentioning these things that the national team coach does his work behind the scene. I watched 600 ISL games last 5 years. You know how much headache that is? I watch 3 football games every day. That's my job. That's part of my job. When I'm at home, I spend at least 6 hours watching football, writing down things, reading, discussing with my colleagues, coaches. You can check with all the coaches who were there in ISL, how much communication we had, how much we discussed the players, their capacities, their possibilities, what needs to be done, everything. Talking to the players on a regular basis. That's my job. My job is not to spend and waste unnecessarily the money which is not there just to show my face. That's what Kalyan does. That's a populist thing to do. I take my job very seriously. But you guys from media need to explain to people how the job is done and what is the purpose of the job.
So I just have winding down, because you gave us a lot of your time and we are extremely thankful for that.
Yeah.
Doing a recap. When you came in, you went through a lot of tough times. You had the pandemic, you had the lockdown, you went to Middle East to play a lot of the games, not too many home games, you know, all that stuff, difficulty. Then you already had the under 17 players, sort of World Cup players who were sort of making a way up. So maybe the team was slightly technically better than what it used to be. And the targets that were set, some were missed, some were hit. You won the 3 tournaments back to back, the Tri Nation, the Intercontinental Cup, the SAF Cup. You won the SAF Cup the year before as well. So it's been a very tumultuous, and a lot of things happened in the last 5 years. So when you're looking at your tenure, do you think the national team is better than where they were when you inherited? Not in terms of the ranking, which we know will go up and down, but generally in terms of...
Even in terms of ranking, when I took over, India was 106th place. It was not 95th. Okay. India was 106th. And throughout the process, when we started the team reconstruction and implementing different philosophy of football, it took us a couple of years to create the team, which we were sure about functioning well and understanding the philosophy of the needed things on the pitch. And then we started making steps forward. The way we finished qualifiers for the Asian Cup in Kolkata was amazing. The football we played at that time was fantastic and exciting, I would say. The style of football which we intended to have and to do was recognized all over the country. And not only that, everybody, wherever we played, each coach of the opposite team was mentioning this is different India. This is not anymore India which can be taken easily. Okay, so if others, all in Asia, are recognizing India as a serious opponent at this stage, who can hurt anyone, That's the clear proof of how things changed. Clear proof. And now finishing with the game against Qatar. Because there is Sunil era and post-Sunil period which is coming to India. We proved what I was saying when answering the question, what after Sunil? That no player will be able to replace Sunil because one person cannot do that. We're going to do it as a team. And that's what we did against Qatar. You could see different style of play. You could see India first time in its history playing three at the back. Very high up the pitch, putting under pressure Qatar at their home soil. Conceding some chances, yes. But playing fearless football, playing with pride, fighting for its country, but playing football with good ideas, approaching their box, creating chances, having game in our hands, getting close to win the game against Asian champions. And someone can say, yeah, but they played reserve. No, that's not reserve team. That's not reserve team. There is 6 senior players playing that game against us with the best and most talented under 23 players Qatar has, which were trained for 12 years in the best football facilities in the world by one of the best developmental coaches in the world. That's the future team Qatar in next 5 years we're going to watch. And don't forget, we were just 2.5 years older than them. Because the things we have done in the past, opening widely the door to our youngsters to gain and mature, to gain experience quicker, to mature quicker, suffering our results in the first 2 years, but looking up on the future. That's what we did for India. And now, shouldn't be a problem for India to qualify on a regular basis, which was our main goal. Don't forget that. Qualifying to the Asian Cup on a regular basis, but the problems will start there at the Asian Cup. Problems will start there. This was a great opportunity for us to qualify for the first time in the history for the third round and do great things. But believe me, it's not all about coach and the players on the pitch. Other offices should be there, also doing their job, which was missing, badly missing there. You know, they were occupied with internal fights, with their political careers, with washing their face on the social media for the things which are coming at them with the elections going on there. So for them, it was not about football. It was about them, and that part was missing there. Not enough support of the national team, not enough care for the national team. And I'll take the blame, no problem. They will pay, I'll take the blame. That's the end result.
So that I wanted to ask, what was your last comment on Indian football? I think that was a fantastic line at the end to end.
Listen, I leave with my chin up after 5 years, giving my best 5 years, I would say, you know. I'm 56 now, so these are my best working years, which I'm living with India, having lots of friends, keeping my players, my staff in my heart. The messages I receive for them, I love them. I'm giving them this message. I love them all. You know, I'll probably cry every time when I read the messages they send to me. And that's a clear proof to me how much care and how much passion I invested into relationships, into our work, into making something happy and working well for India. And India is my second home now, so there is no other way to say this, because tears are coming to my eyes, you know. So
Igor,
I will repeat.
I've got tears. I've got Sandesh Jinglan yesterday watching an interview that how you helped him out, and there was no one other than his family standing by him, and you were the only one who flew out to Mumbai, spent time with him, and stood by him. The same thing with Sunil Chhetri. He especially flew out to your nation. I don't know how many players have done that. The kind of relationships you had with all the players, because I know 7 of them are my boys who are currently in the 25 squad, repeated again and again. They tell me, I mean, it's like a family, and it's never been like a family. And the people don't understand how sad the players were when this was announced, because that's what I'm saying. These guys in AIFF don't ever talk to the real stakeholders. and take decisions which will affect not them but other people, and which are totally illogical. But hope we learn, and just can say thank you so much, Igor, for giving us the best years of your life, giving us making India a treble winning championship. We will always remember that year. That moment, those moments which you gave us in Imphal, in Manipur, in Bhubaneswar, in Bangalore. Every time I think about them, I get tears in my eyes and I got goosebumps. Thank you so much, Igor.
God bless you guys. Always Indian and always there for you.
And as I wrap up, I just want to say this from my end also. I mean, you had good days, bad days. As a reporter, I had to write good things, bad things, all of those. But it was never personal. And I was in Bangalore during the whole saffron, and that was one of the greatest football watching real life experience I had. I have it in my phone. I've taken the video and all of those. So thank you for that. And I wish you all the best. I wish you all the success in your career going forward. And thank you so much for doing this. Ranjit, thank you so much for taking time to do this as well. So
Thank you, Sandeep. God bless you.
God bless you too.